Hello. Whoa. Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? That was not expected, but okay. So, I hope everybody's having a great day. I have made a couple of changes, and I'm going to try to figure them out here. Trying to keep up with changes that I'm doing, guys, and keep up with like how all this goes is really challenging. So, bear with me in my youth on this particular subject. So today we're going to talk kind of the foundation of trust in society. And I'm just kind of doing like a few weird podcasts on these particular subjects just to kind of well, to be quite honest with you, I don't want to sit here in front of a camera and just waste time that I could be using to help other people. So I would like to, if I can, I would like to take the things that I have here and give them to you guys while I'm still learning what I'm teaching. Okay. Or while I'm learning, not what I'm teaching, but while I'm learning what I'm doing with this damn computer. Because I have no clue what I'm doing when it comes to some of this stuff. Um, and I say that like people believe I can do stuff with these computers, but I can only do what like garbage in, garbage out. And if it's good, then I can do it. You know what I mean? If I get good information and I can, I can follow someone's lead and do that. But it's my planning of that that's making it it's hard to do it when you don't you're discovering everything for the first time. That's really what it comes down to. So I'm making my tea, guys. Forgive me. I tried to get something together, but I got to have something to drink before I start. Otherwise, uh, if I get in the middle of this, we're going to have problems. So, what we're going to talk about today, kind of, we're going to talk about the introduction to trust. But before we do that, I actually have, let's see here. Give me just a second. I thought I had it on, maybe it's on this screen. Hmm. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. So we're going to talk about some pretty cool stuff. This is kind of cool. I think this is cool, guys. I think you'll like it too. So let me put it right here so you guys can see me. All right. So today we're going to talk about first five unusual stories related to money and power. Okay. So interesting. It should be interesting, right? Everybody's thinking that. I'm thinking it is. So in Alicante, Spain, a man known as Adis became notorious for his repeated attempts to dine and dash by faking heart attacks. Over the past year, Adis has pulled off the stunt about 20 times, making him a well known to local police and the restaurant staff. He posed as a wealthy Russian tourist and dresses in designer clothes and orders lavish meals, and typically starting with a Russian salad followed by a, I can't even say this, uh, something or lobster, and washing it all down with multiple glasses of whiskey. Once the bill arrives, he clutches his chest and dramatically falls to the floor, pretending to have a heart attack. However, his performance is no longer fool the restaurant staff, who now call the police instead of an ambulance. Adis was recently caught and sentenced to 42 days in jail. Let me go and see if I can open that tab, and if I can, I'll share it with you guys. Um, oh goodness, no, that's so. Here's another one. I'll just leave this for you guys too. These are a thing make that'll leave you shaking your head. Where did I go here? Okay, there we go. Let me post this in the room for you guys. Here. Bizarre stories that'll get your head turning. Okay. So let's move on to the next one here. I have more like jokes, right? Like old people jokes. I have lots of those. Just kidding. Okay, so number two is bank break in for hot pockets. And in a bizarre incident in San Diego, California, a homeless man broke into a Wells Fargo bank, not to steal money, but to use the microwave to heat up Hot Pockets. The break-in occurred around 3:30 in the morning, and it triggered the bank's alarm system. Surveillance footage showed the man in the bank's break room using the microwave. When the police arrived, they found the man still inside the bank. After a standoff during which the police threatened to send a canine unit, the man surrendered. He later explained to the police that he was homeless and had broken in solely to heat and eat the Hot Pockets. When asked if it was worth it, he replied affirmatively, stating, "Hell yeah, it was worth it. You go, Hot Pocket guy." So in explosive hoarding in Utah, in Holiday, Utah, a homeowner's unusual collection of explosives, including ancient dynamite, prompted a visit from authorities. The homeowner contacted local authorities to seek advice on how to safely dispose of a large quantity of explosives stored in their home. The discovery led to a significant safety operation as the authorities worked to safely neutralize and remove the potential hazard. The situation highlighted the risks associated with hoarding dangerous materials and the importance of proper disposal procedures for explosives. Oh boy. So Legos in police work. In response to a new California law prohibiting police departments from sharing photos of suspects in nonviolent crimes, the Murrieta Police Department resorted to using Lego heads to cover suspects' faces in their social media posts. This creative solution aimed to comply with the law while still providing public information. However, the Lego group requested the department to cease using their characters due to the intellectual property concerns. Consequently, the police had to find another way to anonymize suspects in their posts, illustrating the challenges and creativity involved in adapting to new regulations. So apparently Lego didn't want any affiliation with this company trying to put the people that they were incarcerating using their figures over their faces. They were not okay with that, and they got rid of that. So demonic faces disorder. Victor Shera, 59, from Clarksville, Tennessee, had been diagnosed with, okay, give me just a second. I'm going to have to pronounce this. Prosopomentomorphosia. I can't even do that. PMO, a rare neurological disorder that causes him to perceive faces as distorted or demonic. Could you imagine that? That's not a funny thing. I can't even imagine if you saw some people's faces and you saw them as demonic. It says it's a neurological disorder. I'm going to tell you a story about that in just a second. This condition began in November 2020 and has profoundly affected his daily life, making interactions with others terrifying. Shera's case is unique as he only sees these distortions in person, not in photographs or in screens. Collaborating with researchers at Dartmouth College, he's helped create vital visual presentations on his distorted perceptions. PMO affects fewer than 100 people worldwide, and its symptoms can last for years or resolve quickly. But Shera continues to live with the condition. Now, I'm going to say something about that condition, supposedly. That condition that they're talking about is a man's perception of something that's happened. And what if, I'm just going to throw this at you. They're saying this man perceives faces as distorted or demonic. Their perception is that he's seeing these faces as distorted or demonic. I say to you, he's really seeing these faces as they are. And when they are he's calling them out on being dangerous or demonic or whatever, he's seeing the truth and he's providing that to them. And when people don't hear that, when they don't get what they want out of somebody, they will villainize somebody. And I don't know, I don't know anything about this particular thing, but I do want you guys to know that that is a real thing. That's what people really do that to other people. They maim them and shame them and make them, that's really, honestly, I'm going to tell you guys, from somebody who has created a record for a name that I became the surety of. none of my actions ever in my life have been with the intent to harm anyone or to deprive anyone of life, liberty, or property, or to not pay a bill. I'm telling you, like I've never said I am going to do this. It's never been like that. Anything that has ever been a misunderstanding or a miscommunication has been because there hasn't been sufficient or adequate information. And when there's not full disclosure and we don't know everything that's going on, then we can't make good decisions. Now, what I say to you all in that note is that stop signing things when you know that's the truth. There's so many people all over social media that are out there creating these things, and they're coming up with great stories like, oh, I needed to do this. I understand when you guys need to do stuff. If you need to do stuff, put your heart on paper first. Because when you go just do it, people are making presumptions because you guys first, you don't know who you are. Okay. You're using someone else's stuff and you don't even know it. There's people out there that are in the SPC world, secured party, and saying they're creditors. You guys are all creditors. All this stuff can be done without any of this elaborate, like UCC stuff. It doesn't have to be done with UCC stuff. I know because, well, I've done it both ways. I've done it both with the UCC stuff because that's the way I was taught that I had to do it. Here, just go do this because, and you're not given any explanation on anything. And then sometimes the people that are teaching this stuff don't even know what the explanation is. There are places out there that do offer, some good information, and there is a very big price to pay for that. And that's one of the things that, I've never made this about for anyone about being about a monetary thing. My time is valuable to me. And if I'm going to give up something I want to do, this is the price that it's going to be. And you guys have the same choice to make it in any business you want to do, whatever you guys choose to do. And I encourage you to become independent because that's the only way that you have any ways to make choices and make decisions that that are going to be beneficial to you. And I forgot this again.
The following program contains mature content and is the truth. No part herein is intended to be legal advice and is for entertainment purposes only. Audience discretion is advised.
Okay, now that you guys are discreet and advised, we're going to move on. So I just want you to know that some of these things, like this Victor Shera account, let me go to here. I'm going to see. Maybe I can go to the site. If I can, I'll share it with you guys. Creme de la Weird. Here I'll share the website with you guys. Present. Share screen. This thing always wants to give me tips. Which one was it? It was 10 Bizarre Stories. No, it was Weird News. Weird News Money. That's what it was. Oh, hold on just a second. I got to check it. Nope, not that one. I'll just close these other ones that I'm not using. All right, there it is. News of the week. Let's go to here, share. And, all right. I don't think there's sound, so, but you guys should be able to see. Okay. And so News of the Weird, hang on just a second. I'm trying to arrange windows here. Okay. So NBC News reported on March 21st about a Tennessean man suffered from PMO. Okay. I don't know what that is. Oh, that's Phil. But anyways, this particular thing, I want you to know, like, this is something that I would be very skeptical about if I read that and it said something like that. Okay, so I would just be leery, man. That just weirds me out. When they start telling people that they're seeing something that's not normal and there's nothing wrong with these people. That what I see is the same thing that happened in Killers of the Flower Moon, and the same thing that's happened in many of these other guardian trusts where guardians gone wrong. That's primarily what it's called. Hang on a sec. I'll see if I can find you one. Okay, so this one is kind of long though. Okay, so let's try this one. I'll show you guys this one here real quick. And this is from YouTube. I'm going to just give credit to Florida News Capital. That's what it is. Okay, so we'll share this. I'll share this with you guys real quick. Maybe. There's so many windows open here. It's crazy. Okay, so let's go. I'll remove this. We'll put this one back on. And share it with you again. All right, so we'll look at this really quick and check out this video here.
Legislative IQ. Increase your legislative intelligence with Florida's policy, budget, and campaign monitoring service. Subscribe today at legislativeiq.com.
The story of Ernestine Franks of Pensacola is compelling. At age 90, her sons couldn't agree on where she should live, at home or with one of the brothers in New Orleans. A lawyer suggested a guardianship. Son Doug says that's when the family nightmare began.
My mom has the money, did have the money. She pays $900, $100 an hour to see her children.
Private guardians are for-profit businesses. No one regulates them. Nancy Dietert wants to change that.
They're in charge of your money, your assets, your health care, your family. So basically they can take you prisoner, and we don't even have a complaint department.
Last week, Franks told his story for the third time to a legislative committee.
What's happened is this second group has been exploited, both financially and also isolated.
After the testimony, the sons were denied an Easter visit to their now 93-year-old mother. The email claims the son's conduct is brazen and harmful.
What does Ms. Franks do to see his mother without having to pay that?
It's impossible.
One of the problems is that no independent authority is checking on what is true or not true. Legislation on the move here at the Capitol would regulate all guardians, public and private, and it would set up a way for people to file complaints so people like Doug Franks don't have to publish pamphlets about their case. Franks and others who testified say the proposed law is a step in the right direction, but just a small step. Reporting from the state capitol, I'm Mike Massalinda.
Okay, so just to give you guys an idea, this is...
Who escaped in a...
That's not what I wanted to do. This gives you guys an idea of like the things that are going on. When guardianships and things are out there, you heard her say they take control of everything. They take control of your bank account. They take control of your health care. They're taking control of everything, and they're putting themselves in that place again. So, so that you don't have any control over what's going on. You don't have any say in what's happening, and that's a scary thing, especially if you're the one that's put in that position. Now, the reason I'm discussing this is because this is what many of you guys and gals have felt in your experiences when you've dealt with situations where you're trying to give orders to people and you don't understand why they're not taking them. You can't understand why there is, why did you have authority to create it, but yet you can't get any information on it? That's the question that many people have. And I answer this question a lot, and I'm going to explain this. So what happens is when you get into a contract under the Constitution, which the Constitution will not prevent, it prohibits the states from hindering your ability to contract. So the Article 1, Section 10 is the state's regulation to allow you to contract. They can't prohibit any sort of contract that you want to get into. But that includes giving up rights if you choose to do so. And giving up rights can mean that you don't know that they exist. And if you don't know that they exist, yes, you know what? It's upsetting at the very least. But it doesn't qualify for anything, unfortunately. Unfortunately, your lack of not knowing something doesn't qualify as an excuse for still continuing to do it without having the full knowledge. And when we do stuff, we've actually chosen to do many things on our own. We're like, choose these things. Like, it's like, okay, well, I don't care. Well, if you did, then we would do something about it, right? We would notify somebody. We would tell people like, hey, something's not right here. But to continue to use it and then to expect a different sort of result is kind of chaotic. That's kind of what the definition of insanity is, right? Expecting a different result by repeating the same thing over and over and over and over and over, as if it's going to change. You need change to change. And that's one of the reasons why this organization has devastation. That's why they create chaos, because their motto is order out of chaos. Look at the dollars; it's right on the dollar bills. Ordo seclorum. That's like order out of chaos. And so what they do is, think about this, and this is just, it's not. It just is. It just is natural, but it's stuff that is done along the way that is. They know what natural is. These people who are putting the media stuff out there for people to see, like what I'm talking about right now, on all of these subjects. Granted, really seriously, I mean, there is no news about an apple tree that just put apples out. There's no news about a honeysuckle tree that tastes sweet. That's not a good story to people. They don't find that stimulating. And over time, things get stagnant. Societies get stagnant. And it's like a battery just, getting down to where it's low. Well, you jolt it, and then suddenly it picks up and starts working again as if it was new. And that's the same. It's the same mentality. Actually, it's really the exact same thing. You think about it. We're all in an electrical world. This is all a frequency and vibrational world. So when you create that shock and awe, you're stimulating all of those different energies. It's like, it would be like putting a heart machine up to, just to give somebody in a heart attack. What do they call those? Pulmonary, whatever. I can't think of the name of the idea. It's a stimulation of, when they say stimulate the economy, they're not talking about stimulate the economy. They're talking about scaring the shit out of the people so that they do stuff. And that stimulates the economy. The economy can't be stimulated. An economy is just sitting out there, and it's based upon decisions that people make. So you can't stimulate an economy. You can stimulate the hell out of the people, and you can, put threats on. It's a thing that, you're going to learn more about as time goes on. But if you're not new to it, then, well, welcome to the S show. Okay. So not my show, but it's what is on the television, on that boob tube. And this is not like, you guys want to learn stuff, go look up George Orwell. Okay. Go read some of George Orwell's stuff. Yes. Thank you. Defibrillator. Thank you, Doug. I appreciate that. I could think of it in my head. I just couldn't think of it. I couldn't get the word out. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about the understanding of basic trust. And I say that understanding of basic trust because I'm not going to get into details on some things on this. Many of these things are people's what people have in their their mind is what things are, but I want to clarify a lot of things. Okay. I want to talk again really quick on something that's called waiver and consent. Okay. Waiver and consent. Let me see what I'm going to actually, I'll look it up while I'm here. Um, okay. So let me check the results here. All right. A waiver is made out to a waiver is to be made out by clear, unequivocal, and decisive acts of a party showing such a determination not to have the benefit intended to be conferred by the act or regulation waived. Okay. That's equity jurisprudence, section 85, folks. Section 85. The consent in the eyes of the bewigged jurists is the voluntary agreement to some act or purpose made by a person who's capable of discerning, making a decision, and deciding. Picture it as willingly handing over the keys to your treasure chest rather than having them pickpocketed by a rogue. That's consent, okay? And that's what we feel like we've been pickpocketed, but it's actually just it's a consensual by non-assertion of a right. It's not knowing that it exists. And unfortunately, our ignorance of our own rights by non-assertion of them is not something that the law covers. So anybody that says, oh, wait, no, this is a mistake, you're not going to get any remedy in the law at all, okay? And for those of you that are saying, well, the common law, the common law, folks, I hate to disappoint people. And listen, there's some people out there that are former attorneys that are out there teaching that the common law is the way to go. And I'm telling you guys right now, we are under a proclamation that does not allow the common law to be into force. And they can argue all they want and say there's no law, there's no, under American jurisprudence second, there's nothing that can suspend the Constitution or suspend the rights of the But that is all. This is banking, folks. You guys are not getting that point. And these are some people that are in some very important places don't get some very, very important concepts. Okay. These are people that are in high positions that are not understanding some very important concepts. I don't even think that the banking side understands the military jurisdictional boundaries. Okay. I don't think they fully comprehend exactly what that's doing. And because of that, it's creating confusion among people. Okay. So consent obviates the injury. And an act which would otherwise be a tort may become lawful by reason of the consent of the person affected. And that's also 95. So in application, let me do this here. I'm going to look up some other part here of this. Okay, the concept of waiver is like noble, akin to a noble willingly forsaking a claim to a throne. Okay. And let's not say it's like it. Let's not say it's like it, folks. Many of you folks don't even know where you come from. But I will tell you that you are a bunch of badasses when you realize where you come from. And when you do realize where you come from, then you're going to realize that you are waiving your claim to a throne. And it's a serious and intentional act. And it requires a clear understanding of the intentional relinquishment of that right. It's not something done in the peak, the fit of a peak, or while under the influence of a hearty draught of ale. Okay, you're not going to be under booze when you're wanting to do this. The courts of old took a keen eye to ensure that a waiver was indeed made voluntary and with full awareness of the consequences. So those of you that are listening to what I just said, it must be voluntary. It must be willing. It must be consensual. And many of you right now, and this is where confusion comes in, because people think, okay, well, I can just go do what he says and then I'm done. But it's not what I would do. See, what I'm going to tell you is what I would do, but you're not done. You're far from done. And there's many people, I tell you what, folks, I've got a lot of folks. Those of you that have followed my program and started it and then dropped out or dropped off, you've missed out so much, and so much success between then and where you were. People started to establish records a long time ago. And I'm not talking about the W-4. The W-4 was a reporting process where you guys were making reports and it was creating audits. And there's a lot of people that popped in and out of that off of YouTube. And like a lot of people came out and started creating their own shows to go and try to teach people how to bogusly discharge debt. And they have their own, like, they know who they are and they know what they've done. These people have come and been admins at my group. They came and basically learned what I taught them and then left. And there's a lot of that around there. Okay. There's a lot of groups that you guys will find that, well, ask them if they were an admin over here, because they're probably one of the, I don't have, I'm trying to think of who I do have. Like, I have some people that have been with me for, the entire duration. And then, the ones that left were getting fed information because I was sharing with my admins what I do. I tell them. And when they felt they had their cups full, they went other places, which is okay. That's great. I encourage that. But to the way that it was done is not equitable. I'll tell you that. Like, they didn't learn anything, because when you take something that is inequitable and you like disparage it, well, it's like bad mouthing your family where you came from, right? Like, I know everything because of this, but it's a bad source that it came from. Well, it can't be all that bad if it taught you everything that you know, right, about the subject. So, and look at where it's gotten you. Like, look what you've gotten and what you've given in exchange. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of people that have answers to give, and I'm not the judge of anybody. Like, I just do what I do, folks, and I have an open heart for anyone. People think that I'm like this mean guy, this rude guy. I'm not a rude guy at all. I tell you guys like it is. A lot of people don't like to hear like it is. They don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear that, you know what, you're screwed until you learn more. I don't know what else to tell you. You can't do anything, and I can't do it for you, and no one else can do it for you, because no one else took that pen and touched it to that paper. No one else can explain to you who you are. When I leave, I'm not going to be your explanation. I can't. Like, it's impossible. I have my own explanation to make. So when you guys are on your journey, it's a matter of giving you stuff along the way that will help you, but you have to decide what you want to do with it, whether you see that as something that is important to you or not. I can't. I'm just teaching another thing over there, but I'm telling you right now, it's the only thing. It's the only thing. There is nothing else that will give you remedy. You can get some remedies in law because law allows some remedies, but the unusual things when you're coming down to these situations where It is a question of whether you gave something to somebody or whether someone's lying or whether it was fair or not fair or whether it was a subject matter of the conscience or not, like somebody ripping somebody off and not giving full disclosure. You're not going to find remedy in the law. It does not extend out to that. The law will not help the old, the old frail lady. Okay. The law does not help that old frail lady. Equity will. Okay. The law will not help her, period. All right. There's a lot of, this is another thing I'm going to touch on real quick, and then we'll get to waiver again. There's a lot of people masquerading like they know a lot of things in a lot of subjects out there. And some of them are giving disclosure that they don't know anything. And that's okay. I mean, I'm not going to, pipe on anybody about anything other than I think that people that are teaching something that is not backed up by the source of where it comes from is selling you snake oil. Okay. There are things that I have shown people that I have been successful with myself that they've taken and they go do it a little bit different their way because they want it to be faster and they don't even know that they're waiving things. I know of situations right now of people that I've helped and I've given like my time to them and they've gone and done a different way. And they don't even know, they think that, well, someone else told them a different way along the way and they thought it was going to be faster that way. And yeah, it might have been a little bit faster, but it also involved waiving rights that were there before they did it their way. And if you guys want to do things, like shady or questionably, then, I mean, that's okay. You can. I'm just telling you, you can make a solid record with the truth and the facts and the right information and putting all that stuff together in the right way. Okay. There is no registered mail or postal dealer that you're going to meet. Okay. I don't have a registered mail dealer that I talk to. I don't have a dealer in securities that I talk to. I don't have any of that stuff, guys and gals. I have information. In fact, we don't even delve into that stuff, except when it comes to, when you get to that level of knowledge, when you get to the level of being able to understand what happened and where you got where you are, then you're ready to hear about what's been created by what you did. And when you're ready to hear that stuff, when you're ready to hear about the bonds, bid bond, payment bond, performance bond, et cetera, that are just a part of our financial system as the way it exists today, then you can learn more about that. And you can learn how your authority or standing created an instrument that is now out there as a part of accounting. And you can learn more in much, much, much more detail. And you can learn to actually have some authority over these things. But I'm here to tell you right now that you guys are being asked to give up your throne. Like, just come down here and do a couple of these things. And that's the surrendering of your throne. If you know who you are, it says know thyself in the scripture, right? Know thyself. It says that for a reason, because then you don't go count on anybody else to tell you anything. Now, I'm helping you, but I'm telling you right now that I want you to go look it up yourself. Don't rely on what I say. Don't rely on what I say, and then don't rely on what other people say for sure. Because I'm going to give you truth because I've gone that other direction. I've gone the direction where the law doesn't work. I've gone through a trial. I was put on trial for a DUI that I had where this judge admittedly didn't have an oath of office. He admitted it. He told me on the record that he had it. I had documents, and I'm going to go, I'll have a podcast on this eventually. But I had a situation where there was a judge that I went before for several months, and she didn't have an oath of office. And I caught her removing a portion of her oath of office that was the witness clause. And Colorado Revised Statute, let's see, 12-24-101, I believe. No, 24 dash, I don't know. I can't think of it right now. Anyways, it's under Article 1, Section, or Article, geez, I can't even think of it right now. Anyway, I just put myself on the spot. Article, Sections 8, 9, Article 2, Sections 8, 9, 10. I know it's Sections 8, 9, and 10 of the Colorado Constitution covers the oath of office. And it basically says that they have to have an oath that's filed within a certain period of time. Well, there's a lot of people that have information about the oath that's online. The oath of office talking about, oh, they don't have an oath, and they're chasing that same road that I chased many years ago. So in 2016, I went down this road with, and in 17, I met David Merrill. And David Merrill was on this road of the oath of office. He had been the first one to make record of lawful money in Colorado. So there's actually a recording under 12 U.S.C. 411 that records it, the demand for lawful money. Many people know that lawful money exists, and they go on and post stuff about lawful money, but they and in reality, they're asking me questions about how that works. So I do that a lot, guys and gals. I'm just telling you, like, that's a truth. And I'm not trying to call anybody out. I just want you guys, if you're doing it, just don't do it anymore. And I'm not going to call anybody's name out or anything, like, but just be honest, be reasonable about it. So let's talk about, the emphasis of what the doctrine of waiver is. The doctrine of waiver has been applied in a great variety of cases involving rights, privileges, immunities, and requirements, okay, or conferred by statute, as well as originating in contract. Now, one thing to note, you can have equitable means in statutes, okay? People are like, how is that? How can that be? Well, a statute can confer a right of a choice, right? It can confer a choice. And that's really what happens when we go in for a plea, when we have a choice on how we're going in on a transaction, and it's a business transaction. That's what I'm teaching you guys. I teach you guys that in the class. We have classes on Sunday, by the way, and I haven't really talked about this. I thought about, I should probably tell people that, we have classes that we do regularly on Sunday. I also have active recordings of classes that I've taught on these subjects. I teach you guys exactly the history behind all of this so that you can learn what is Tinder? Like, how does it work? What are the rules behind it? There is legal tender, and there is a way to lawfully tender something, but you have to know the distinguished difference between the two, and you have to know exactly kind of how you're doing it. I mean, there are things that happened in history that began the way that this all started, okay? And then there were elements that were removed to prevent people from knowing, that things had changed, but those options were still there. It's just like telling you guys, hey, you can't pay for anything in gold or silver, but gold and silver is still money. What? How does that make sense? Okay, so gold and silver, those coins are still money. It's still got value to it, and part of it is the value that other people see value in it, and one portion of that is the value of the money is an accounting portion. So in other words, that particular thing that's been minted is a piece of accounting that exists somewhere else as a part of the whole system. Okay, that's what happened. Is before they would have a token or something. Okay, they would say, here, I'll show you something. This is kind of cool. So they would say, this Well, you guys can't see it. Well, that doesn't do any good. Okay, so this dollar is representative of $1 in silver. It's a silver certificate. So it's actually a silver certificate from like 1818 something. But this thing can be exchanged for a silver certificate. Now, someone took a piece of silver up to a window and dropped it off to get this receipt. This is a receipt, guys and gals, okay? This is a receipt. Someone took this up to a window and received this receipt back for the silver, okay? So that's how the system works. It keeps record of what is provided into the system. It keeps a receipt for it where it goes, and then it keeps an accounting of everything that's been done all along. So now you have something that certificate is representative. It's representative. In other words, before it was a piece of silver, now it's a piece of paper that stands for that silver. And the silver went and is put away in a place, okay? This silver certificate still goes out there for circulation, okay? And when they removed all of the silver, then they just had a number system where it was just like they had a number system, silver, where it was numbers and silver. And then they had this other one that was not silver anymore. It was just paper and a number system. So from silver and a number to just made up monopoly money and a number. Okay. And then they just continued the monopoly money. But this never went away. The lawful stuff never went away, you see. And that's what people don't know. They don't know how that works. And that's what I teach you guys. I teach you so that you don't have to go and dig around to find out where these sources of this information is. You can find the direct sources, and then you can implement these things into what you're doing. And the idea is to get as far as the law will take you, and then to invoke your rights as a private person, as a private man or woman, and then to follow through with that. So that's what that's the whole idea. That's what I want to teach you guys. If you want to learn, it's just a choice. It's not like you guys are nobody's required to do it. Nobody's required to, participate or anything. So, we just talked about waiver. The doctrine of waiver, again, has been applied in a great variety of cases, again, involving rights, privileges, and immunities. And you guys can find that on Inequity Jurisprudence on page 86, okay? If a landowner fails to enforce his right against a trespasser over many years, he might be deemed to have waived the right to eject the trespasser in the future. So if you guys are letting people cross over your land, you might think, oh, that's just innocent. No, I just want to let them do it, But they're actually creating an easement. They're creating that right. They're establishing that right over a period of time, and then it becomes something on. And then now, before you know it, they're like taking you to court to go get that right in writing. That's what happens. So we just waive things when we don't even know it. So that's why it's so important that you put things in writing and say, hey, this isn't forever, and it's never to be considered as a waiver and consent to do it permanently. You see, when you do that, you preserve it. That's preserving the right up front, and that's a much different perspective than what you see. And I'm going to tell you something else. Every single thing I teach you guys is non-controversial, okay? It's going to be like, let's go and find the peace in this part, okay? Everything you guys are so used to, anybody watching this video, you're so used to controversy. You're so used to fighting with people. You're so used to arguing. That's the epitome. They teach people, oh, no, go after yours, get yours. But then they give you this like, it's like going into a video game and getting the worst video game, like, I don't know, the player, being the worst player in there, like getting the one that's most disadvantaged, and then telling you go after your rights. You go fight for your right, like the Beastie Boys, go fight for your right to party. You don't give somebody something that is like deficient in every way and then tell them, go get it. You don't give somebody a car. You don't give your kid a car that's broken down and say, okay, kid, go get your first job and go kill the world. You know that they're going to be having problems. You don't want people starting off with problems. That's what's happening. We're being given this thing that's like, it's not good at all. And it's like down on the bottom of the ranks when people don't even know that the ranks exist up here. When people are living as elites, they just moved the rank up. That's all they did. They're still the same people that are down there with the other people. All they did was have a little bit more understanding, and now they're up here because they know about it. They know it exists. If you have the choice, you can make it. And that's what I'm teaching you guys, what the choices are, okay? So the maxim that consent obviates the injury is especially applicable in the law of torts, where it would otherwise be a wrongful act to cause damages, and an act, and causing damages becomes innocent and lawful if done with the consent and approval of the person against whom the act is done. Okay, you guys can find that on page 96 on that. Okay, so in the grand ballroom of equity law, waiver and consent, they waltz together. They influence the outcomes of cases, subtle but profound ways. Both principles underscore the importance of intention and agreement in legal relationships. They serve as foundational stones and support the structure of equitable dealings, ensuring that the parties are held to standards of fairness and honesty and not just the letter of the law. This respect for the principles of waiver and consent reflects the broader values of that time. The time when individuals were honorable, and individuals should have the autonomy to manage their affairs, and that their deliberate choices should be respected. It's a bit like being at a tea party where declining a cup is as significant as accepting one. I hope that this expansion has casted a little bit more light onto the legal principles, and knowing that this legal system that we're in, it parallels another system that is just like the money that existed before, and that we have a choice to operate in that system, but we're only given on face value the choice of opting into the system as being a participant. Many people don't even know that this option exists. They don't even know that they have a choice that is outside of their everyday activities. We get into a complacent position. And as time goes by, we learn that, and we get comfortable and complacent with that, but we learn that there's other things that we can explore outside of that box. There's other places that we can go that can allow us to have other choices. And when we know these choices exist, it's just like cutting butter with a hot knife. It's very simple. And no one asks questions. That's the crazy thing. As long as you know what you're doing, nobody's going to ask you questions. It's the ones that are wandering aimlessly and look lost that they're going to find a place to put in guardian-ward relationship. And that's why I brought up that video in the beginning. I wanted you guys to see that all of these situations, when we're using a property that doesn't belong to us, we become responsible for the use of that property. Okay. I know not everybody understands what I'm talking about, but there's documents that were created that you weren't the creator of. You just used them and they belong to somebody else, and there's other things tied to them. And you deserve to know what that knowledge is so that you can make an informed decision. If you choose not to, that's your consent and your waiver. And that's okay. That's the way that some people want to stay. Some people want to live like that. But when you know that you come from another place and it's an error that needs to be corrected, then that is where we come from a place where we need to clean our hands on what we've done in the past and make things right. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and I know that Doug has a question. I see. Can both waiver and consent have the attributes expressed and implied? Yes. So waiver and consent can be both. It can be expressed where someone writes it down and say, you agree that by accepting this, you waive all other things and this is your only choice. Kind of like getting married, Doug. You know, you when you got married to your wife, you know, you kind of expressed to the world that you weren't going to get married to anybody else, right? And so when we do that, you're doing that up until the time you get married, right? So you imply that, you know, that you're waiving all other females to consent to one. Does that help? I hope that helps you. The fact is that waiver and consent works both expressed and implied. Implied just means that somebody, okay, so let's just say there's, you go to the river, okay? And there's 3 tubes. There's a red tube that's big and nice and plump. There's a yellow tube that's a little smaller, and there's a blue tube that's barely fit your butt cheek in it, okay? So the big yellow tube is what people want. The red one's okay, but people walk up there and they say, okay, who wants the tube? And people are looking at each other, and finally a guy stands forward and says, I'll take it. That is waiving all of the others, and he's consenting to take that one. Or it can be opting. It's a choice as well. So waiver and consent can be also stating what your choice is. Expression means it's written. Implied means you're just doing it and acting it out, and like no one's asking any questions. And most of the stuff that is done through today is just all implied stuff. They're implying that, you know, this is what you want to do. And like, you didn't mean to gift that to me. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you didn't want that, but you never knew that you were gifting stuff. All this stuff is done under gift, under Title 26, guys and gals. Every single thing that you guys are, you're signing for is relinquished as a gift. And we don't even know what it is. And you can go and say stuff, but there's other things you have to have in place to make your intent clear. So let's see, choose one, and yes, yes, the choice of one is the exclusion of all others. So selection of one thing is exclusion of all others. Yes. And that's kind of like where we're at. You know, people are like, well, they call people up and as the debtor, and they're like, well, you know, I made this, I know I signed this thing with you guys, but you guys weren't honest about it. They're talking to a debtor, guys. You guys are talking like they're treating you like the debtor. You're the guy at the bottom of the totem pole, or the girl at the bottom of the totem pole. Not like, it's not what you think it is. You're not going to have any authority there. There's other things that go into play too, because you have to understand from a trust position that you've signed other things that are keeping you out of the realm of on the presumption that we are like approving all of this. We approved all of it. And it's very much like an abusive relationship, honestly, until you guys get a voice. And you can't get a voice until you get some sort of knowledge. You can't walk up to somebody and start telling them about what you want them to do when you don't even know what their job is. So your authority is going to come with assertion of these things, and knowing how they work, knowing how they unwind. When you're empowered, like there's people that can just walk into places and get things done because you can call places up and just get things done because and I know everybody wants to, have that information like downloaded, like hook me up to this so I can learn it. And believe it or not, it's kind of sad, but it's not far away where you guys can get these chips and stuff and garbage in you, and like they're going to be able to program computers. You're going to be a damn computer, a cyborg, and that's garbage. That's never what our creator was intended for us. So like, I mean, that's what they're going to be tempting people with, folks. Like, hey, you can learn this in hours if you just plug up to this. And it's like another creation of, it's like trying to improve an orange or trying to improve anything. You can't make a human being better than what the creator makes it. It's impossible. It's like trying to make an orange more orange, a tomato more tomatoey. Like, you can't do it, folks. You can do stuff to like manipulate it, but look, that's the reason that we only have the certain amount of chromosomes we have, is because they did that a long time ago. Okay, we're like, not, the things that we know are not what we perceive it to be, and you guys will learn more about that. Like, I share all kinds of stuff with that in the classes and stuff. So, but you guys, I want you to keep in mind that, I'm not discouraging anybody to like not learn and not follow certain people or not, I'm just saying be very careful on what you do. If somebody's telling you that they don't know what they're doing, then don't do it. Okay. Don't do it because they're experimenting with you. I want people to be successful, and I wish people would reach out and say, hey, you know what? Like, I want to teach these people, but I don't know how to teach them. That would be a lot more noble, but I don't ever hear that. I don't see that happening. And people all think that they've got the answer. And I'm telling you guys, like, I don't have all the answers to stuff, but I have all the citations for the answers that I do have. Okay. And that's the difference, is that I can show you where the stuff comes from. I can show you why certain things are the way that they are. And these things that I'm seeing people teach on, there's, I got a discharge of a bill. Well, you know what? Maybe you might have gotten a discharge of a bill, but there's a whole bunch more of accounting that comes with that. And you already opened up the can of worms to get yourself started. So now I want to see how you're going to finish this, because there's not a complete set of instructions that comes with that. And what you just went and did is you got sucked into the temptation to go do it yourself, and you waived your right for an equitable position because you were an heir before. It's like giving up your throne. When you give up the throne, you can't go back and say, I want the throne now, or treat me like I'm from the throne. You just gave it up. So waiver and consent is very important, folks, and it meets a lot of things that you guys are doing. Many of your actions or inactions are waiver of one right and consent to a lesser, diminished, not even right, but privilege, benefit. And that's what they're giving you. They're giving you a turd with sprinkles. So you guys have an amazing day. I send you much love and energy. And with that, I yield.